Animals never stop amazing us with how clever they can be. One small cat walked into a fish store carrying a leaf, and what happened next surprised everyone. This little cat had been visiting the shop for days. Marcus, the owner, was an animal lover and told his staff not to chase the cat away. "Just let him be," Marcus would say. "He's not hurting anyone." The cat would sit quietly in the shade, watching through the glass window. It looked like he was studying how people behaved inside. But whenever Marcus or the workers tried to get close, he'd dart off. He didn't want to be touched. He was just there to observe. It really did seem like he was learning how people paid for fish. Cats have a long history of offering small gifts to humans, like a mouse on the doorstep or a toy in the food bowl. It's their way of communicating, a clever way to connect. And this cat was no exception. He came so often that Marcus and the regular customers started calling him Whiskers. Whiskers was calm, well-mannered, and quickly became a favorite at the shop. Then one day something truly amazing happened. For the first time ever, Whiskers stepped inside the store. And he wasn't empty-pawed, he had a leaf in his mouth. Everyone in the shop turned to look as he quietly joined the line of customers. He didn't meow or make a fuss. He simply stood there, waiting his turn, just like everybody else. The line moved forward, and Whiskers did too. When his turn came, the room got quiet. People leaned in, curious, unsure what he'd do next. Some customers had already bought their fish but stayed just to watch. "Well, I'll be," one whispered. "Look at that little guy." There was no doubt Whiskers had a plan. He hopped up onto the counter and gently placed the leaf in front of Marcus. Then he waited, eyes bright, body still. It only took a moment for everyone to realize what was happening. Whiskers was trying to pay for a fish with a leaf. The room filled with laughter and disbelief. It was clear. He had watched people hand over paper money and figured the leaf looked close enough. He wasn't stealing. He wasn't begging. He was offering what he had in the only way he knew how. A fair exchange. Marcus stared down at this tiny cat, standing there so proud with his leaf. How could anyone say no? "Well, little guy," Marcus said with a grin, "I think we've got a deal." He reached down, picked out a small fish and handed it over. Whiskers grabbed his prize and ran outside, settling down to enjoy his well-earned meal. Everyone in the shop was smiling. It was one of those magical moments you never forget. The story spread like wildfire about the clever little cat who tried to buy fish with a leaf. No one expected it to happen again, but it did. The very next day, a worker found Marcus in the back room. "Your favorite customer's here," they said with a grin. "And he's got payment." Sure enough, there was Whiskers, leaf in mouth, waiting patiently in line. Marcus couldn't help but smile. He was more than happy to serve him. That fish shop had been in Marcus's family for years. As a kid, he'd go fishing with his dad, helping bring in the day's catch. Eventually, Marcus took over the fishing while his father ran the shop. Over the years, they built a strong business together. Now, Marcus still took the boat out once or twice a week, but mostly the crew handled things. The customers knew him well. Some had watched him grow up. But in all those years, no customer had ever been as faithful as Whiskers. Rain or shine, cold or hot, he came. Every single day. Sometimes the leaf was soggy and torn from the weather. Other times it was just a scrap of green. But Whiskers never missed a day. "Rain or shine, there's our boy," Marcus would say to his wife. Right on time. He started keeping a small fish ready just for Whiskers. And on days Marcus wasn't there, the staff knew exactly what to do. It was clear Marcus had grown attached to this little customer. He often wondered about Whiskers' life outside the shop. Where did he sleep? Was he safe? Was there anyone looking out for him? Eventually, Marcus decided to stop wondering and do something about it. Behind the shop, he set up a small, quiet corner just for Whiskers. He placed a cozy, covered cat bed there, along with a bowl of water and some extra food. Whiskers still got his daily fish, of course. But Marcus figured he might enjoy something different now and then. And though the little cat looked healthier these days, winter was coming. One fish a day wouldn't be enough when the cold set in. Marcus lived right next door to the shop, so he could check on Whiskers just by looking out the window. And the first time he saw that little cat curled up in the bed he had made, peacefully sleeping, it felt like a small, quiet victory. "Look at that," Marcus said to his wife, pointing through the window. "He's using the bed." His wife and the shop workers couldn't help but smile. There was something funny, almost sweet, about seeing this tough old fisherman get so excited over a tiny stray cat. But that's exactly what was happening. And though she didn't say it out loud, Marcus's wife had already started preparing. Just in case that little bed in the corner turned into a permanent home for a new furry family member come winter. But nobody could have guessed what was coming. As the cold months approached, Whiskers didn't always sleep in the shelter. Still, he clearly knew it was there. He'd sniff around it, sometimes curl up inside, and then vanish again. But every day, without fail, he came to the shop, leaf in mouth, waiting for his fish. Then, one day, something felt wrong. Sorry to pause the story. If you're enjoying this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. It really helps us bring more heartwarming stories like this to you. Thank you. Now back to Whiskers. Marcus had been out for most of the afternoon running errands, and he didn't return to the shop until just before closing. As soon as he walked in, he noticed it, and his heart dropped. The little fish he always saved for Whiskers was still sitting on the ice, untouched. That had never happened before. The staff hadn't seen him all day. Marcus felt a cold knot of worry tighten in his chest. "Has anyone seen Whiskers today?" he asked, though deep down he already knew the answer. "No, boss," one of the workers said. "We've been looking. He never showed." Marcus didn't waste a second. He kept the shop open an extra hour, just in case Whiskers arrived late. But he didn't. He checked the shelter out back. Empty. The food and water untouched. That's when panic started creeping in. Marcus grabbed his coat and walked the block, softly calling Whiskers' name, peering under porches, behind trash bins, into alleys, anywhere a scared or hurt cat might hide. But there was no sign of him. Then he grabbed his car keys and hit the road. He drove slowly, scanning the sidewalks and side streets, headlights low, calling out as he turned corners. But the streets gave no answer. Eventually, he had to return home. The night was cold, too quiet. He barely slept a wink. His wife tried to reassure him. "He'll come back tomorrow," she said gently, "like he always does." But Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. By noon the next day, the fish was still untouched. "Something's happened to him," Marcus said quietly. "This isn't like him." His wife took over at the store while Marcus went out again, determined to find the little cat. The staff promised to call if Whiskers showed up. But the phone stayed silent. And just like Marcus feared, Whiskers was in real trouble. He searched everywhere, behind buildings, under cars, in every alley and corner Whiskers had ever been seen. But the cat had vanished, like a leaf in the wind. The hope Marcus had been holding on to was slipping through his fingers. Whiskers was so small, and the world suddenly felt so big and far too dangerous. Then, as he passed a small park, something made Marcus hit the brakes. Off the side of the road, near a patch of grass, was a little bundle of fur. Familiar. Too familiar. His heart pounded. He pulled over and got out, dread weighing down every step. On any other day, he might have ignored a shape like that. But not today. Not when Whiskers was still missing. Not with that familiar gray coat and white paws. He had to know. Marcus walked closer, holding his breath. It was him, Whiskers, but he wasn't moving. Panic surged in Marcus's chest. Please, please be alive. He knelt beside him, heart in his throat. And then, Just barely, Whiskers lifted his head. He was alive, but just barely. His tiny body was covered in cuts. One leg looked completely shattered. Another was twisted the wrong way. It looked like he had been hit by a car and left there, alone. Marcus felt his heart break. What could he do? Technically, Whiskers wasn't his cat. He was just a regular visitor, a clever little stray who traded leaves for fish. But standing there, looking down at that broken body and that familiar face, Marcus already knew the answer. "Don't worry, buddy," he whispered, gently lifting him. "I've got you now." He rushed Whiskers to the nearest vet, not caring what it would cost. This cat had worked so hard for a simple meal every day. He mattered, and Marcus wasn't about to let him suffer. Not now. The vet team got to work right away. The news wasn't great. Whiskers had deep cuts, serious bruising, and both back legs were damaged. One broken clean through, the other twisted and swollen. He'd need surgery. Recovery would be long and painful. But the vet looked Marcus in the eyes and said something that stuck. "He's a fighter. We'll give him every chance." While Whiskers recovered at the clinic, Marcus started searching for his family. Surely a cat this sweet, this smart, belonged to someone. But after checking for a microchip, nothing. Posters went up around the neighborhood. Phone calls were made. No one came forward. At first, that realization hit hard. It meant Whiskers had truly been alone all this time. But as the days passed, something else began to take root. Hope. Marcus had never owned a cat before. He was a dog guy. But this one, the leaf-carrying, fish-trading, fiercely loyal cat, he was different. And Whiskers seemed to feel the same way. Each time Marcus visited, Whiskers perked up. He'd try to climb out of his cage just to reach him, pressing his face into Marcus's chest, purring like a tiny engine. There was trust in his eyes. Not the kind built on food, but something deeper. They were getting ready to bring him home, to make it official. But then the phone rang. A woman on the line said she thought Whiskers might be her missing cat. "We think he's our Luna," she said, her voice filled with cautious hope. "She disappeared months ago, around the time he started showing up at your shop." She sent photos, and sure enough, the resemblance was striking. Marcus tried to be happy for them. If this really was their Luna, it would be a happy ending. But deep down, it stung. Whiskers already felt like part of the family. The next day, the couple arrived at the clinic to meet him. They approached his cage with smiles and soft voices. But Whiskers didn't react the way they expected. "He doesn't look exactly like Luna," the woman said, uncertainty creeping in. Still, they tried to explain it. Maybe the accident had changed his face. Maybe he was scared. Then the vet opened the cage, and Whiskers darted, not toward them, but straight into Marcus's arms.
No hesitación. No confusión.
Just trust. When the woman reached out to touch him, Whiskers backed away. When she tried again, he hissed. Tears welled in her eyes. "Luna, don't you remember me?" It was heartbreaking. This gentle cat, usually calm, polite, even around strangers, was visibly upset. Something wasn't right. That's when the vet asked an important question. Had their cat been microchipped? "Yes," they said. "She was chipped as a kitten, and she's a spayed female." But Whiskers, it turned out, was a neutered male, and he had no chip when he was found. The truth was clear. "I'm so sorry," the vet said gently, "but this isn't Luna." The couple was devastated. They had searched for months before eventually adopting a rescue cat to help fill the void. It was time to let go. As for Whiskers, his mind was already made up. Marcus was his person. And when Whiskers was finally cleared to go home, there was no question where home was. Marcus didn't take him back to the shop. He took him next door to the house. "Welcome home, Whiskers," he said softly, carrying him inside. They had everything ready. A cozy bed layered with blankets, a heated pad for winter aches, and a little toy fish that Whiskers carried everywhere like treasure. That first winter, they kept him indoors, careful not to risk another accident. But once the warmer days arrived, they let him explore again, this time with a tracker on his collar, just in case. But they hardly needed it. Whiskers never strayed far. He liked to sit by the shop door, greet customers, and return home when he was tired. "There's our celebrity," people would say, smiling as they handed over bills for their seafood. "The cat who pays with leaves." The cat who once brought a leaf for a single fish now had everything he'd ever wanted. A warm home, endless fish, and a family that loved him deeply. What more could any animal ask for? Did you enjoy the story? If you saw a cat like Whiskers injured on the road, would you stop to help, even if he wasn't your pet? Let us know in the comments. And if the story warmed your heart, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Kindness has a way of coming back to us, especially when we show it to those who can't ask for it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next story. Until then, take care and be kind.